There's a bunch of good games out there, but you know what the biggest problem with them is? They're made for little bitches, or boy, I truly can't handle ever sucking, so they make the game easier enough for your average bear, but that's where I'm different. I'm your unaverage bear, the superior bear, ready with a bear of a challenge today. Boy, this writing is so tight right now, and I present to you the discussion on the worst challenge I've ever completed in Earthbound. Earthbound, or Mother 2, if you're arrogant enough to always mention that you know what the actual series name is a great game. I mean, it's great. Boy, this writing is so limp right now. Chock full of fantastic music, dynamic and quick enemy encounters, and a zany world full of lovable characters with iconic designs. I mean, this game set a standard. Although, unfortunately, it is kind of easy, which is actually, maybe not an issue to you, but I use my gaming abilities as a boast. So I need more cred as I go on. We can't all enjoy beating actual human games. I need to go do things the hard way, so that's where I like to employ challenge runs. Everyone's a big fan of watching other people metaphorically dick themselves in the name of nothing, just sitting around getting brutalized by a 30-year-old video game, so I figured I'd share a recent adventure of mine. The Low Level Challenge, otherwise known as shit as fuck, but that's the cool part. We've made Earthbound an insufferable experience, one where you assume the role of like a 12-year-old child and his other friends and make it feel more realistic. Mostly because I can now be absolutely brutally killed by things like a big ant. So a low-level challenge means that you've got to complete the game with the lowest experience gain possible, which means you have to fight the minimum number of total battles. You can't do any level grinding on random encounters, you have to flee whenever you can, and bosses will give you a wrench in your favorite orifice. So you're gonna need some save points and willpower, lots of willpower. Obviously we will both be completely starved of levels and money, so there's not going to be many options in terms of getting stronger. Fortunately, there's not a whole lot of fights to even consider doing in the entire game. That being said, the game is forced to be played in the way that developers intended. If you don't know, you can really walk through walls in Earthbound, allowing you to quite literally walk to the ends of the earth. For this challenge, I will not be exploiting anything except my own sanity and time. Dying is pretty much out of the question. Since you have a party size of 4, you need all 4 characters to survive in order to minimize experience gain. Despawning enemies works by moving them off screen, and it's the only way to get around. I do it a lot. You'll see it a lot. Alright, it's time to break it down, get the Earthbound music on. Well, you start off much in the same way as a typical player. You're in Onet, you're a boy with a hat named Ness, so things are off to a great start. You are forced to take your dog with you up to investigate a meteor crash, and spoiler, the dog is probably superior to Ness for a while under the rules. I mean, that's dog, we're dog shit, ha, got him. But there's a lot of walking and fleeing from snakes and spiteful crows as we approach the summit of the meteor crash. Normal people playing this game would probably gain 1 to 2 levels scaling up here, getting some stat upgrades and a very useful skill named Life Up Alpha. Unfortunately, we are staunch pacifists, so we're gaining nothing. Then there's a mini boss named Starman Jr., and the developers really put no interest into making you fight him because you can skip him in 2 different ways. Firstly, you can just walk right past him. That's not as easy as it sounds. You have to do a little bit of a jitter past his spawn point and just a bit of a shake. Or you could just die, as dead children have no abilities to fight men from Star. Whenever you die in Earthbound, the game puts you back where you last saved, but everything you've done is still present. You lose some money if you had any on you, but beyond that, nothing is lost. Well, now you go next door and this fucker kills your friendly fly Buzz. This is one of gaming's unreasonable moments, and then you're released to the wild to go on your quest to save the world from Giygas. Little boy, you are dead. So we're level 1. We should reasonably be level 4 or something. Oh well, it's no problem. We probably have to fight things on the way to the first major boss of the game, right? Unfortunately, no. No, you're out of luck on this one. You don't gotta fight shit until him, but you can go and get a free burger from a fucking trash can and then talk to another helpless child and receive his hat, apparently a much better drip, as the kids say. And then yeah, that's about all the help you can get. If only your dad, who's aware you are going on a quest to save the world, gave his son more than $40, you could buy a bracelet and power up your defenses. But you are able to afford a better baseball bat by selling your currently equipped one, so we're geared to the teeth as much as we can be anyway. Now that we are all prepared, it's time to go take down the local riffraff. Well, these scary shits are called the Sharks, and they have a little quirk called once you talk to them and run away from the ensuing battle, they just don't come back ever, so that's what you've got to do. Just get into combat, flee, and they're gone, leaving the back door of this club open for you to snoop around in. Well, back here is a fucking lunatic named Frank, destroyer of worlds, well, not really, but at least terror of ass, and he's going to fight a 12-year-old kid with 2 knives. Forget that you are an RPG protagonist. This guy is actually prepared to shank a child that walked into his backyard. He's one of gaming's greatest villains. So he's got 63 HP, and we hit for roughly 3 damage. Frank has 3 different attacks, each one with a different implication for the fight. Firstly, he can come wide and punch our poor innocent decent face for about half our health points. Secondly, the maniac can stab us to death for all of our health points. Finally, and most ideally, he can relentlessly shit talk us to our face, just laying completely into us, and that just, lowers our guts, a stat which affects our ability to critically strike and to occasionally survive mortal damage with 1 HP remaining. So altogether, this is one of the worst fights I've ever seen in any RPG. At level 1, he's so powerful it's not even close to fair. Besides the fact it'll take about 21 regular whacks of our bat to kill him, it takes at most 2 hits to kill us. Now, a critical hit will indeed help, dealing upwards of 20 to 25 damage. Crits are not common though, so we're in for a lot of resetting and walking all the way back to Frank, just for him to stab us in our liver and kill us. Okay, well, you do have a hamburger, some fruit juice, and a bread roll. Maybe we could set up a friendly lunch and do our best to talk the situation over, and by that I mean suck it up, get some real balls, and absolutely own this grown man, while eating a trash can burger and pray to God he just yells at you the whole time. With enough luck, which is a surprisingly unreasonably high amount, you will kill Frank and be awarded 50 experience, bringing us up to level 4. You get 2 spells, Life Up Alpha and Hypnosis, and you can finally breathe a little easier knowing that you're all the more powerful. And now you have to immediately fight Frank's fucking death machine. Who is this man? Yeah, you're not out of the woods yet, but fortunately the power we now have is pretty good. The Frankenstein Mark II has a lot of strength, but it takes a break between actions. So just whack it as much as possible and heal up anytime you think you're going to die to the next hit, and you should be able to beat the boss in one shot. 76 experience gets us 1 more level, and we feel like the absolute worst is behind us. The worst is definitely in front of us. Now we can go and buy that cheap $98 bracelet, boosting our defense as we approach the first major boss location in the game, Giant Step. That is 1 giant step for this playthrough and 1 big foot soon to be in my ass. Well, this place is fairly horrible with lots of little enemy encounters. You need to use a strategy of stutter stepping to navigate around these places. Enemies spawn kind of weirdly in Earthbound, with the screen borders having the power to spawn and unspawn things. And since enemies move when you move, you can kind of baby crawl around, making things practically immobile. Anyway, navigating like this works fine enough until you reach the bane of all life, the absolute fiend that will absolutely claw you apart. It is he, it is him, the beginning of the end, the Titanic Ant. Yeah, we'll be here a while. The ant has 2 smaller antoids along with him, and all they do is heal, so they really ought to die. Now, fun fact, if you do kill the Titanic Ant without killing the smaller ones, you do gain less experience, but killing them doesn't actually give you an additional level at any point in the run, so it's not a big deal how you tackle this. To be Puritans, you would let them use up all their spell cast and then just focus on the boss, but that would also mean this fight is going to take a lot longer, and that's not something you can afford. So, the Titanic Ant himself has a few moves. Firstly, he can drain your PP, get your mind out of the gutter. He can shield himself, greatly reducing the damage he takes. He can downgrade your defenses or bite you. The bite is actually 2 different bites, unnoticeable if you're just normally playing the game, but sometimes he will use the heavy-hitting version, and it doesn't feel great. We gotta just be honest, this boss is nearly impossible. What with either the 4+ turns you have to attack or ignore the antoids, plus the 235 health gauntlet you have to endure, all the while you can be killed in as low as 2 direct hits, means the chances of beating literally just a large ant are low. Maybe a war of attrition would be possible, if not for the lack of PP you'll have during the fight. Really, what we need is for the ant to lower our already useless defenses every round, and spoiler, he doesn't do that very much. Loss after loss for hours worth of game time, the challenge was beginning to seem impossible at this point. You need such depressing luck to even have a coin flip of a chance you win. Not to mention every time you lose against a tit ant, you have to walk through an entire giant step dungeon, doing the damn shuffle all the way. Your only saving grace could be the notion of buying and eating burgers to spare yourself from mortal damage. If you don't know, the game has a rolling HP system, meaning that you can save yourself from death if you heal in time, since damage doesn't factor in excessive kills. If you have 10 life and you take 100 damage, you don't have to heal from -90, you just have to heal at all, and that total gets added to 0. So it can be helpful to just go for an all-out offensive and throw a burger in your mouth when things get to their worst. After what felt like a few million losses, I needed a strategy. There was just no way pure luck was going to be enough for this. Although it kind of still comes down to luck in the end. The answer I was looking for came in the form of a complete guesswork dumbass RNG manipulation. So basically, you can do this a lot more intelligently than I'm employing here, but moving your cursor in certain ways will affect the outcome of the battle. You can test this yourself by having the game on emulator and save stating before making an action. Depending on your menu manipulation, you can make the Titanic Ant not do shit. So I figured, why not? Wiggle the menu around and maybe it'll give me a better chance that the old ant wouldn't actually attack me, and I actually did start noticing a difference. So, after a long time fighting the same boss and hoping he sucked, I managed to kill him. It only took around 120 tries, but now we're level 8. At level 8, you get what one would deem a fucking ability, the PSI Rock and Alpha Spell, a large damage multi-target attack that will aid us greatly. For now, look at a large foot, hear music, and we're off to the next city. Before that though, Ness decides to say fuck the police and has to go through a gauntlet of them to leave town. This fight should have been fairly nightmarish, as you have to beat 5 cops in a row. They can chop, for some reason, your head very hard, which can kill you if you are low on health. Fortunately, the life up spell in conjunction with absolutely smashing them with a baseball bat means that we can clean this fight up way easier than the ant. At the end of the challenge, you fight Captain Strong, who has a mustache, so you'd think he'd be easy to kill, but he is actually annoying. He can get a large temper, which is a terrible move that wastes his time. Meanwhile, we're just slugging his balls. A few hits, he dies, we're level 9, and we're on our way to collect a second character. Paula, the typical mage for this kind of game, is locked up by a bunch of cultists, so we skip through a hellish meadow filled with trees with faces and end up in Happy Village where we meet her. She needs us to fight a car painter as opposed to his cousin, the fence painter, who would probably fuck us up. Car painter, on the other hand, is a fairly easy battle. Before him, there's only one encounter that's unrunnable, the only one in the entire game, so we actually have to fight something fairly easy. Not that it actually is, because we're pretty pathetically weak for this point in the game. The fight with Car Painter doesn't start off so great, as I have to have large PP and go at it with 0 PP, but due to a bit of luck, he is vanquished and we can go back to rescue Paula. Alright, 2 things. Firstly, characters in Earthbound are added to your party usually at level 1, meaning that they are fucking trash, but obviously they would level up really easily. Since that's not the case today, Paula will remain level 1 for our first major encounter with her. Mondo Mole, and Mondo Mole indeed, because he's big, he's bullshit, he's fucking bullshit, I hate this mole. Okay, first problem is this cave. It's big, it's also chock full of mini moles and bears, and getting around isn't as easy as Giant Step. But regardless, we get up to him and yeah, it's just another fight like the ant. 6 moves: life up, offense up, shield, attacking, tearing into us, and clawing us with his sharp nails. First of all, I have a bomb now. Secondly, that's not such a great thing actually, because he can heal damage. Thirdly, I have a teddy bear who sponges damage from me and Paula, who, by the way, needs to survive this fight. Otherwise, Ness will gain all the experience instead of dividing it between the 2 of us, and we'll go up too many levels. Plus, you kinda need Paula to not completely suck eggs, so that's another stipulation. But with the teddy bear, we get a few seconds to think about things. Literally about 2 seconds. The teddy bear has like 120 health. Finally, with a grand total of 498 HP, the mole will endure a lot of abuse, definitely including this bomb you throw in his stupid ass face. Paula's literally only function here is to use items and to pray. I mean, not only literally, she can do that too. Little bad choice of words, but as I was saying, pray that her few casts of PK freeze actually work and solidify the mole, which take away his next action. And as alluded to, Paula has the unique ability to pray. This is a slot machine. It can give you everything you need or it can devastate you. Here's a list of what it can do, and you might think, damn, you could get lucky and really just win the fight with this, which is true, but it's far more likely you'll just make both Ness and Paula cry like the children they are. At the beginning, the battles with the mole seem more approachable, like I won't be here for the next 16 years trying in vain, but he can come out swinging and kill someone really easily. Ness and Paula have to survive, and the amount of times he just scrapes my butt cheeks away with his razor-sharp claws is unfair. So the strategy was this: give Paula a bomb so she'll have more to do as the battle rages on, and well, that's about all the plan is. Basically hope the teddy bear lives for as long as possible, the mole doesn't heal, and that the prey gives you back PP, letting you cast Rockin' as much as possible, which can deal over 100 damage. But then Paula did in fact whip out the death beam and laser this bitch down, so yeah, that's a nice outcome for me, not bad. Ness is now level 14 and Paula goes up to 10 instantly and becomes a god of annihilation, now probably being the best character in most battles due to spells being much more useful at killing fiends. Well, that was eventful. Now we are on our way to Threed, but first we have to play as a literal nerd who sucks and also becomes the strongest character in the game. This is basically the protagonist now. Before Jeff though, I want to mention something. You can actually go straight to Threed and fight a different boss before the mole named the Boogie Tent. Now, he's a tent, so that's a little less of a problem than a big-ass mole, but like the mole, he'll eat you, so this fight is probably not worth doing first. As he is weak to fire, it is a good idea that we waited until Paula leveled up. Now that we are sitting with Jeff all by himself in the land of winters, we are a bit shit out of luck. There is a host of billy goats, yetis, ducks, mice, and even protoplasm that will eat Jeff. Basically, since we aren't allowed to kill anything, this is a death march where Jeff has to run away from everything and eat boiled eggs when he's close to death. He's literally sucking eggs at this point. Jeff meets his end many times, but for the most part, it's just a lot of running around. You meet Jeff's deadbeat dad, harsh, but he gives you a spaceship, less harsh. Problem is, he doesn't tell you how to land it, so maybe he's just trying to kill you. You hurtle through the sky and crash land into Threed, saving Ness and Paula, and now we actually have a crew to use once more. After this, we're ready to go kill a living tent and save citizens from this apparent zombie hellhole. Due to having a helpful teddy bear that soaks up 2 hits for feeble Jeff and somewhat frail Paula, but not really for Chad Ness, and due to the fire spells we now have access to, the tent is killed in 1 try. Ness goes up to 15, Paula goes up to 12, and Jeff gets to be level 11. How about that? We go north and get a jar of fly honey out of a trash can. Now we have to go fight Mini Barf. Yes, that's right, Mini Barf, and he is an amazingly terrible enemy for being named Mini Barf. First problem is he stinks so bad it makes us all cry so much that we can't see. So Jeff isn't even a character now, and Ness isn't much better after using all his PSI abilities. As the fight rages on, he continues to stink, making our offense go down, and Jeff gets punched 1 time and dies horribly. I should mention this now, but physically attacking sucks badly against some targets, this being one of them. Not only can we not hit him, we also can't hurt him due to a higher than likable defense. And with a stupid total of 616 health, it takes a lot of spell damage luck to get through this. Really, we've reached the point where Paula is the MVP because Ness can only shoot 1 damaging spell off around 5 times per battle, and Jeff can't do shit. But don't worry, Jeff will later on become an unstoppable monster man. Attempts 2 and 3 on the literal shit pile go badly, but on the 4th attempt he does nothing and we win. Now the gang can move on to Saturn Valley, and it goes very well. It's not like we're literally on death's door the whole time due to bad luck or anything. No sir, definitely nope. Fortunately, Mr. Saturn is a firm believer in free healthcare and gives the team free healing and resurrection, because if we had to buy that at this point, Jeff would have to be dead forever, and there would go the challenge. But we're here, and we're ready to go fight in Belch's factory, a not nice place. To get through here, you have to corral hard-hitting, scary enemies in groups to get by, using the tried-and-true stutter step method. It doesn't work entirely well. Between someone getting killed all the time to whining and crying after that, it's just a bunch of annoying children roleplay. Finally, we reach the big bad Belch and blast his butt with a batch of bombs, and Paula is vomiting during the battle, but we kill Master Belch quite easily and all is resolved. Now we can approach the trillionage sprout and I fight 2 ran boobs and die. Thank you very much, game. This place is ass, and it's not helped by the boss himself, who has 2 additional friends along for the ride. I understood the ant and the mole being able to kill children, but this is a pile of fucking dirt with a face, and it can turn me into diamond. Stupid ass tough mobile sprouts can heal, shield, punch, eat Jeff. It's a nightmare. The sprout has 1048 health, making this a tedious battle of hoping Paula isn't dead. Everyone else is once again accessory to her might and should focus on surviving. Okay, but here's a fun problem, and by fun, I don't, because we have to take down this boss without killing either ad, because they will give nearly 2,000 experience, meaning we will gain way too much power relatively speaking. Also, this makes using Ness's rockin' spell and Jeff's bomb spell much more worse because they hit everything. So we are forced to not take our highest damaging route with this encounter. So, sorry, it's a tedious, heinous, hellish walk to get back here. It takes 11 attempts before Jeff uses his Mondo Chad Chin to eat damage for us all day long. After that, we can just take down the boss himself, sparing us from the disgusting 2,000 free experience. Happy day. Back on the road again, it's time for the desert, and like intelligent, not stupid little kids, we decide to save money and walk. Really scraping by here. I need all the pennies I can get. I learned a quick lesson about the dangers of walking through deserts and die almost immediately, taking the long way around from now on. It's not so bad actually, and we managed to get into the city of Foresight quite easily. There, Jeff gets hit by 2 taxis and dies, meaning I have to walk back to Foresight again. We reach the mine, which is fine, fight Mole, put it in a hole, and then Jeff fucking dies again to a snake. Jeff, you need to get some better pants or something, my man. Although Paula then also dies to a snake, and I question why everyone is so feeble right now. You have to beat 5 moles in this dungeon. Seriously, like 12% of the encounters in this game are moles, and in the middle of these battles, I finally get an upgraded form of Rockin' for Ness. This move is so strong, it absolutely deletes the remaining mini-boss moles I had to fight. Now we have a diamond to release the Runaway 5 from slavery or something. And then we go get Paula kidnapped by the department store squid, and Jeff activates man mode and shoots a big bottle rocket at him, which fucks him up, and we make short work of him. This is the beginning of Jeff's mega phase. Then a lot of bad things happen, and we end up in Moonside, which is very bad. You're liable to get mugged in this pit of a town. A lot of hoo-ha, and we get to the next boss, the evil Manny Manny statue, and it's usually not so easy when you're this low of a level, but Jeff has more big bottle rockets, and again, they fuck things up, so another easy battle thanks to the technology of bombs. At this point, friendship ended with Paula, and Jeff is my new best friend. After this, we have to do a bunch of running around. It's mostly mundane, and finally later on, we get to scale Monotoli's tower, and as if I could say this anymore, but this section is one of the worst in the game. The robots in here can't be ran from, but they aren't required to be killed to scale this place, so you need to have a few items called Skip Sandwich Deluxe in order to improve your movement speed and get by untouched. This took a little finagle, which amounts to roughly 15 attempts before reaching the actual boss boss that needs to be defeated, the clumsy robot who doesn't live up to his name and is actually quite good at killing me since he's immune to bottle rockets and rockin'. And that means you need to best him with basic equipment, and the only problem is that I have not been able to keep up with that due to my really reduced wallet. So unfortunately, we're forced to run back past the awful robots again and again. 7 more attempts and we're back to old clumsy with a neutralizer, allowing rockin' to actually work. We win, we reach Monotoli, get Paula back in the gang, and we're forced onto a bus against my will. Now this is funny, very funny, very fucking horrible, because I didn't save at this hotel phone I could have saved at. I didn't expect the worst enemy in the entire game to show up, a level 1 crow who is trying to flee from me, accidentally hits me, accidentally steals from me instead of running away, and somehow gets one of the only items I will very much need to beat the game later, meaning we're back to Monotoli's tower, running from robots, fighting clumsy, Jeff getting a rocket in his face, karma, and finally, on the 4th attempt, he's down once again and we're back to where we should be. Now we're at a guy named Shroom, and he's hard enough to be mentioned, but it's not so bad. Basically, he causes a lot of status effects, but he does piss all to hurt us himself. Still, confusing people who shoot very painful attacks is a good way to win fights, and I have to try 3 times in order to actually take down this mushroom man. After this, it's poo time, right out of my ass. Wait, no, it's actually Pooh, the final character in the game, and we get to go through something quite natural. We get to go through something quite natural where he undergoes a scripted training session to get more powerful. The guy just casually breaks my legs, takes my arms and ears off, and then blinds me before stealing my mind. I mean, this was good. It's better than it sounds. Immediately now level 18 and gives me spells that works wells. Pooh joins right away and we set off for greener pastures in this fetid rat lair. The dungeon is annoying because of the loading screens that dump you into areas where you probably would have to fight something to get out of the room. After a few attempts of getting through this dungeon without getting killed by roaches, the Plague Rat of Doom is one of the simplest bosses so far. Basically, I can sum this up by saying that he is a big rat and I'm Terminix. So open up the free experience points and let's move on. Almost immediately, we're back to another dungeon, the Pink Cloud, which is so large that I have to make 2 trips to get all the items in the chest and then another to actually take down the boss. It's actually another pretty easy boss, Thunder and Storm, who are really interested in killing Jeff, but one cheeky prayer later and we escape without dying at all. But this has all been practice. A complete joke compared to the threat coming soon. The group must make a voyage to Scaraba, but on the way, a legendary Kraken attacks the party, culminating in a fight that is hard enough even with healthy regular levels. Pretty much due to the fact that it breathes fire, which slaps ass, and with my amount of HP, it's going to be a trial to get through this with everyone surviving. Round 1, we freeze him, he does nothing at all, 5 attacks later, and he's dead. Oh, okay, sorry, I was wrong. Well, I'm not looking at gift horse in the mouth, we can continue on in a human amount of time. The Pyramid Dungeon is annoying, and these Guardian Hieroglyphs cast thunder, which can bounce off my Franklin badge, causing them to die. This is a worry because I don't want to have to reset because of one stupid asshole shooting himself to make me stronger. Fortunately, it doesn't happen and I get to walk through here easily. The boss, General Guardian, has low HP and goes down without a second thought. Pooh leaves the party to go poo and to train his nuclear bomb attack, and speaking of which, Jeff can now have access to nuclear bombs via this vendor. Unfortunately, he only sells to people with a fairly good GDP, something our party does not have, so we'll return to this later with more capital to buy some. We move on and we're at the Dungeon Man, and the Dungeon Man dungeon is also annoying in the same way that the Pyramid was, because Dungeon Man helps you in some encounters by killing the enemies, so you need to avoid fighting as much as possible, otherwise he'll power you up unwillingly. I end up redoing this dungeon a few times because we're getting eaten alive by trees and hot coffee cups, which are so incredibly bad. For some reason, the coffee cups are comparable to Ford F-150s with as much horsepower and durability. My head aches and my ass is pained, and it's an annoying trek to get through here, but eventually we end up getting to the deep darkness. In the deep darkness, you'd think we'd be in deep shit, but we can now afford these aforementioned multi-bottle rockets, and the game is pretty much out of things to deal with me. Through the swamp, and we find Master Barf back with more power. Jeff just hits him for 1500 damage for free. Seriously, who designed this item? And it kills him instantly, and Pooh returns to the party. At this point, we're just walking around killing things with Jeff. The Stonehenge base is annoying as everything is fast and flying around, and I even have to load a save because I get diamondized and killed instantly, but other than that, it goes swimmingly until the Starman Deluxe boss, where he just doesn't let me shoot him with my multi-bottle rocket since he just dumps on Pooh, so I lose and have to walk back through here, just to learn that literally one use of the MBR will kill him. It's fine, at this point, if something doesn't take 100 attempts, it's cathartic to me. After this, another full dungeon until the Electro Spectre boss, which I have to use 2 rockets on. Man, huge chin on this guy, and he goes down, giving me access to the Lost Underworld. And apparently in the Lost Underworld, dinosaurs sincerely crave the taste of Jeff. We save him from their jaws, pause and keep going to the final Soundstone bosses of the game. Carbon Dog and Diamond Dog, scary bosses, full of surprises. 1 multi-bottle rocket, not enough. 2 multi-bottle rockets, 3 multi-bottle rockets, you got a deal for yourself. Congratulations, that's all it takes. Balanced character, this glasses-wearing dork dick. I love him though. After this, Ness passes out and ends up alone in Magic Hint, the final area of the game that will grant experience. This is normally hard, and with weak loneliness, it's insufferable. Good thing is, we've done so much enemy avoiding, I get to reach the final area with 3 unrunnable Krakens, which guard the probably hardest boss in the game, Ness's Nightmare. Well, eat a skip sandwich and skip that shit and skip the stuff we do, and we reach the battle with all of our might intact. Well, fortunately, Ness has an ample supply of his own kind of multi-bottle rocket, the Bag of Dragonite, which turns you into a huge fire-breathing dragon each use. I need to hope for 2 things here. Firstly, he can't use Flash to instantly kill me, and secondly, that I can outpace his humongous damage output. He uses Rock and Omega, making me Omega lol when I just use the 4 bags because he does dick all to kill me, and also he goes down in 1 fight. It's actually really sad, but hey, after this gauntlet of everything being a pain in the ass, I'll take it. Ness always gets a huge experience boost from this event, and for us, it puts him to the seemingly lowest level possible of 51. Unless I made a mistake, this is what you must be to end the game naturally, and 51 isn't bad at all actually. It's pretty good. It's almost a human level of strength. So now at levels 51, 42, 41, and 41, the team is ready to go and never gain any more experience and fight the final boss. We go back to our home of Onett, which is under siege from Giygas, meaning the streets where birds once stole our chocolates are now robots that steal our blood, so we have to skip and hop out of here. As this is the final dungeon, the Cave of the Past, we are now confronted with a conundrum. The enemies have no back and they must be touched. Normally, you can either avoid something altogether or touch its back to guarantee a preemptive strike. Since flying diamonds have no back and they are near narrow walkways, we have no way to guarantee anything. Save for the fact that if you do manage to flee from something, you have a moment of intangibility, which means you can set yourself inside the next diamond-shaped enemy, and that always does give the first strike. Chaining together the encounters gets me out of here nice and neat. At the end of the game, the final boss you have to actually deal damage to is Pokey, your fat asshole neighbor. Very realistic that he's this strong. But anyway, I get pretty screwed over with Jeff's rockets, and it makes getting to Giygas himself way harder than one ape-like child with rockets would like to. Eventually, we do make it to the final boss, and Pooh dies almost immediately, which is fine now, I actually don't care. All you need to win the game is to use prey enough times against Giygas, meaning that everyone except Paula is worthless. Well, kinda. You want people alive to sponge hits and to heal up, but since this run is just a pile of your favorite swear word, we're just not going to win. With Paula, Ness, and Pooh dead, no one can resurrect, and Jeff is stuck standing here with an accessory he should not have had on, basically making him an immortal god. Jeff, the Omega Chad, stands here shooting Giygas fruitlessly forever because he simply can't die. You can never deal enough damage to win, so this is a lost cause and the restart is necessary. The second time we come around here, Paula has the Never Die pendant, the multi-bottle rockets actually completely smash Pokey, the repugnant asshole, and we win the day against Giygas since he can't actually do anything to stop Paula from praying. Everyone else is basically just, dies, which is fun. And lo, the world is saved. We died more than most people ever will in 25 playthroughs of Earthbound, and we can seal up this video with a large fuck this. Thanks for watching. Lots of smiles and tears.